galime pradėti ir aš pirmiausia su dideliu malonumu noriu pristatyti mūsų ypatingą knygų mugės viešnią, tai yra rašytoja, kuri užbūrė milijonus skaitytojų visame pasaulyje. Tai yra ponia Lucindos Riley. Jos autorė yra gerai žinoma iš leidyklos Alba išleistų knygų, tai yra Orchidėjų namai, Levantų sodas, Mergaitė ant jūros skardžio. Ir šiandien autorė pas mus atvyko ne veltui, nes yra neseniai išleistos jos kitos dvi knygos, tai yra Vidurnakčio rožė ir pirmoji iš 7 knygų serijos, tai yra 7 seserys Majos istorija. Bet apie tai pasikalbėsime su autorė. Žinau, kad ponia Lucinda ką tik nusileido, dieną prieš buvo Rygos knygų mugėje. Tai pirmiausia noriu paklausti, kaip praėjo susitikimas pas mūsų kaimynus, mums visada tai įdomu.
Well, first of all, lovers. I know one word, that's good. Secondly, I feel like I'm the captain, the pilot of a plane in these, and I've never done this kind of translation, so it's really strange. And thank you for having me here at this book festival. And all I can say is I arrived from Latvia last night, and I went to the cathedral this morning and walked into the old city, and it's a beautiful town, it really is.
Ačiū labai. Žinote, aš žinau autorių, kuriems yra lengviau parašyti knygą, negu keliauti po pasaulį ją pristatinėti. Kaip yra jums? Ar susitikimai su skaitytojais, šimtai dedamų parašų labiau išvargina ar įkvepia?
Oh, I'm so bored. No, I'm joking, obviously. I absolutely. The big thing for me is to actually come around the world and to meet the readers, because without everyone in this room and the other readers around the world, I wouldn't have an audience and I wouldn't be doing what I love to do. Having said that, the one place I hate around the world is airports, because I spend my entire life sitting in airport lounges. But the way I think of it is that I am getting jet lag and frustration for all the readers. So when I get there, I'm very, very happy, and I love seeing all these new places, and often seeing the new place will inspire a story. So one feeds the other.
Jūsų biografijoje rašoma, balerina, aktorė, televizijos laidų vedėja. Kada pradėjote rašyti? Ir kas jūs palaikė?
To write, you mean? Yes. Well, I think I always had a very, very active imagination. And so when I was a small child, I would spend probably as much time dreaming in my imagination as I would spend in reality. So in a way, the perfect career for somebody like me was to actually earn money by living in my imagination.
Žinot, šiuolaikinės moterys sugeba suderinti viską, bent jau Lietuvoje, rūpintis šeima, vaikais, vyru, savimi ir dar siekti karjeros. Bet jūs turite 7 vaikus.
Feel sorry for me.
Kaip jums tai pavyksta ir ar būna sudėtinga, ar būna sunku?
Well, I think any woman here who has a family and works will know how hard that question is, because I love my children, I am a mother first and a writer second. But we all know that trying to combine both family and work is very, very difficult, and I spend a lot of my life when I'm working feeling guilty because I should be with the children, and then when I'm with the children feeling guilty because I should be working. And you know, I'm sorry, men who are in this room, but I think you have it a little bit easier than us women.
Manau, dauguma moterų tikrai pritartų.
Sorry, translator.
Dabar turbūt laikas pradėti kalbėti apie naujausią jūsų knygą, turbūt dauguma būtent atėjo skaitytojų išgirsti apie ją. Tai yra pirmoji knyga iš 7 serijų ciklo Majos istorija. Tai pirmiausia noriu paklausti, kaip gimė idėja apskritai rašyti serijų ciklą? Ar tai buvo jūsų ar leidėjo idėja ir kodėl 7 seserys, 7 istorijos, kodėl 5 arba 8?
Okay, well, I think I've probably just told you how I came up with the number 7. To be completely honest, the way that it happened was 3 years ago, and it was Christmas, and like any family, especially ours, as the mother, you are just a permanent caterer, just cooking and cleaning, and all the family is there. And so I went outside just to get some fresh air, and I was looking up at the skies, and I was just thinking about what I would cook them for tea that night. And I suddenly saw the 7 sisters up in the sky, and if you don't know where they are, I can tell you, because you will all have seen them, because they're so noticeable and so low. And I was also thinking at the time, as well as what I would cook for tea, what the next book would be, because I just finished my Midnight Rose, which is somewhere there, which was a very emotional and very powerful story for me. And I thought, where can I go next to be inspired? Because the author must be inspired by the books they are writing. Because if they're not excited and passionate about the story, I think you readers really feel that. So I looked up at the sky and I thought, oh my God, what about writing about 7 sisters who maybe were adopted from all around the world? And all these thoughts were going round in my head. And so then I came back inside and I called my 7 children together, plus grannies and cats and dogs. And I said to everyone, what do you think about me writing a series of 7 books? And they're like, you know, like kids are, oh yeah, Mom, I'm sure that sounds great. And I was so excited, and I got more and more excited. And then the next thing was, I had to tell my publishers around the world, of which I have something like 36, and explain to them that yes, I could write 7 books, because obviously to write one is a big deal, but to keep writing and keep writing and keep writing. But all I said to them was, well, J.K. Rowling did it with Harry Potter, why can't I? So they all agreed, and so I began with Maya, and I think the beautiful thing about writing this series for me as the author is that it is a challenge, and it's a big jigsaw puzzle, as you will understand when you start to read Maya and then read Ali, who is the next sister, and I've just finished Star, who is the 3rd sister. And so it keeps my interest all the time. And of course, I had to work out how the end would happen before I had even begun. And that's an interesting story that I'll tell you later.
Pirmiausia, apie Mają. Kodėl pasirinkot Braziliją ir kas jūs sužavėjo tame 10-metyje?
Okay, well, it's a bit like coming to Latvia and Lithuania. You come to a place and, you know, I come to see the readers, I come to do interviews, but I also come to find new places to set the books. And about 3 years ago, I was actually invited to go to Rio, to Brazil, and their Biennale, their book fair there. And guys, if you think this one is big, my goodness me, you should go to the Biennale in Brazil. It is crazy. And everyone there shouts and screams and chants, and honestly, it's the only time in my life I've ever felt like Madonna. It was amazing. And so I went to Brazil and I saw this amazing country, and I fell in love with Rio and the atmosphere, because the energy is just so amazing. also thought to myself, I have never ever read a book set in Brazil. So I then started to do some research when I was in Rio, and something happened there, because I went to see the Cristo. If I go like that, you'll probably know what it is. And I heard the story of the fact there was a mystery of who the hands of the Cristo were based on. So I wanted to find out. And so I went on a journey of discovery, in a way, just like Maya does in the story.
Susitikote su Kristaus išganytojo skulptoriaus proanūke. Ar galite papasakoti detaliau apie šitą istoriją?
Yes, well, what always tends to happen with me, which is very lucky, is that when I need inspiration, it seems to arrive on my doorstep. So I decided to go back to Brazil, and I lived in Rio in this lovely little apartment for a month to research and also to start writing. Because when I am writing about a country I don't know very well, I feel I need to go there and actually soak up the atmosphere, because it's not just about the historical names and dates and times, because we can all look that up on the internet. It's about understanding the soul of the people who live in that country and the way they behave and the social class. But anyway, I did need to find out the mystery of who the Cristo's hands were based on. And so I searched for the granddaughter of the original architect. And everyone was looking for me, you know, journalists, publishing houses, etc., etc. And then suddenly I got a note through my door, and it said, "Dear Lucinda, I hear you are looking for me. I live 2 streets down the road. I would love to meet you. Love, Belle." And so she was my neighbor in Ipanema. I mean, how bizarre is that? And so she gave me access to all the private diaries, all the pictures of the original building, etc., etc. And she told me that the hands of the Cristo were meant to be the hands of a very famous singer/actress in Brazil. And all through her life, she said that, yes, these hands were hers on the Cristo. And then on her deathbed, she retracted the confession and said, no, they weren't actually mine. And so, of course, that was what gave me my idea, e.g., whose hands were they? And of course, in this story, it's a fictional plot as to who the hands are.